This is the United States. And these are all the states that have legal medical and recreational marijuana in 2024. This is the Upper Midwest. And more specifically, this is Weedless, Wisconsin, where I live. So, why is Wisconsin weed-locked? I went out to find some answers. I talked to a Democratic senator and 2 different Republican representatives. I also talked to a man dealing with 4 weed felonies who turned his incarceration into creation, and a bunch of Wisconsinites, both in person
We need more Za in our life.
and, of course, on Reddit. I even tried contacting some of the state's biggest lobbyists, but they didn't really want anything to do with me. I let these conversations float around me, and I finally came to this conclusion. Wisconsin Senate Republicans, fueled by their special interest groups, refuse to listen to the demands of the Representative Assembly, and therefore their constituents, the people of Wisconsin, who by and large want cannabis decriminalized and legalized for recreational and medical use. Senate Republicans do this because it's what they've always done.
Most senators were elected their first time a decade plus ago, at least. And marijuana back then, even among Democrats, was far less of a favorable topic. I mean, more seasoned politicians are still thinking about it in the same way that the public thought about this policy 15 years ago. And I think that's the problem in the Senate.
They, and their mega donors, still believe in war on drugs era stigma and misinformation. Let's start with the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce. The WMC is the state's largest business organization and has been a leading spender on outside electioneering activities and lobbying for the past 20 years, spending around a secret $41.3 million since January of 2006. And they're also very outright about their opinions on legalization. The statistics in this article cite more accidents, more injuries, and greater absenteeism than people who don't use marijuana. But what they're not mentioning is that the study they cite is from 1990 and it was conducted over postal workers. As far as the second claim goes, that car crashes involving marijuana went up and continue to go up, is not quite what it seems, and I'm going to let Senator Agard explain this one.
Well, I think that everyone who is on the roads should be able to be safe. And the way it is that we test people for cannabis is not testing impaired driving. A blood test can tell whether or not you've used cannabis over roughly the last 28 days. That doesn't mean that you're impaired at this point in time.
This article also includes a quote from the CEO and president of the WMC, Kurt Bauer. And he basically claims that marijuana could substantially increase the risk of harm for those employed in manufacturing, construction, agriculture, whatever. Again, when you follow where this is cited to, this is a study from 2010 that analyzes results from the past 20 years before it, and the results don't even support his claim. If you look at result number 2, it says it's not clear that heavy cannabis users represent a meaningful job safety risk unless using before work or on the job. That would be the same as getting drunk before a job. And then the 5th result says your analysis has not been shown to have a meaningful impact on job injury and accident rates. So he literally just lied. I want to hit on the Tavern League of Wisconsin, which has kind of been a boogeyman of anti-legalization here in the state.
Fuck the Tavern League.
Because they lobby in the interest of bar owners and alcohol manufacturers, a lot of people assume they're just very anti-weed. So, I asked Representative Rob Swearingen, the former president of the Tavern League, directly.
Just recently. No, the Tavern League has zero input, actually zero stake in the marijuana issue. They've stayed moot on the issue. It's really not their wheelhouse. But again, they get accused of blocking it, and it's just not true.
And the cherry on top of this bullshit sundae is none other than the Speaker of the Wisconsin State Assembly, Robin Vos. I find a statement like this pretty hypocritical when you look at the deaths from other legal substances. I think we need to reframe the way we think about what a drug is, Robin. Number 3, to marginalize and disenfranchise a public that has decreasingly supported them. Starting with Josh Gressel, a lifelong Milwaukee resident.
And then just to be stuck with felonies on your record at a young age, it kind of steered my life in a different direction and limited me in certain things I could do, like finding jobs or even finding an apartment. People will they can look at your record and just see, felonies on there, and then automatically, disqualify you for certain things that you might want to do in life.
Josh's charges are only drug-related, no petty or violent crimes. Today, he has a place of his own, and he's working on opening a gallery for him and other inmates to showcase their art. And then there's the racial component.
Anyway, it's not like you're holding the same standard for every race.
She's right. So the question is, who's the real criminal here? The person that got caught with a little weed years ago, and now they can't vote, find a place to live, find a place to work? Or the people that stop them from being able to do these things? So, Wisconsin, what are we gonna do? Will we come together to create better legislation that lead to more justice and liberty for all? Or are we gonna keep pissing away the opportunity and throwing away the will of the people?